Hey, what's up guys? On this video, I want to show you guys how I, at least personally, use ChatGPT image generator AI to create an image that I then turn into a model using Maker Labs Studios or website. They have different programs on there that help you create models in different forms, and I'll show you which one I personally am using to create models that I then can upload either for free, or you can upload it on like Colts if you want to sell it there. Either way, it's a great way to create new models. I sometimes use Blender for some slight tweaking, although if you can get the perfect generated model by yourself using the image creator, you don't have to do any tweaking at all. But I'll show you some of the things that I've done, and that way you guys can use this to hopefully promote yourself, either generating models for other people to enjoy or using your own models to sell that only you have the access to. So that's a cool way too. Either way, let's go ahead and dive in. All right, guys, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to ChatGPT. I go to the OpenAI one right here. Log in if you have a login. If you don't, I think they make you log in, create a login to use it. I've had one probably since I learned about ChatGPT, but go ahead and log in. For me, I have a Plus account. If you don't have any kind of account, I believe it makes you create one to use this website to begin with. So this is just chatgpt.com. I'm gonna prompt it to create a model for me. So since I do the paid version, it's about 20 bucks a month. I think I could do unlimited image creation. If you're creating a trial account or a brand new account, it might limit you to how many images it will let you make a week or a day. Either way, I highly suggest the paid version if you plan on using this all the time, right? I use it almost daily at this point. So you have to tell ChatGPT what you want. So I'm gonna say, make me an image of a rubber duck that I plan to use as a 3D model. This might be a good enough prompt. It might not be. Sometimes you have to edit it. You can tell it, okay, well, I didn't mean this. I want this changed. So it's going to spend a little bit of time generating this model, and I'm going to try to direct it because the image, we'll see. We'll see what the first one it gives us, and we'll plug it into the 3D model creator and see how it does. All right, guys, there we go. It created me a wonderful looking product. I really like this, and I think it has a good shot of turning out pretty well on the Maker Labs 3D model generator. So I really like this. I'm gonna go ahead and save this picture so that we can upload it into their website. And to save the image, you could hit the download button here. You can click on the image, right click, hit save image as. Now, sometimes it tries to save it as a weird file like XML instead of PNG or JPEG. So if that happens, I sometimes just use my print screen button and I will take a screenshot like this. That's just a workaround if you're having any issues downloading this as an image. All right, so now we're on the Maker World website, makerworld.com. Great website. I love this website. You can search, look through all the latest models. You can search up any kind of model you want, and then they have tons of different contests that they run every month. It feels like forum where you can talk to other people. Where we're gonna want to go though is the Maker Lab. Okay, Maker Lab is where they let you use their programs, their modeling tool programs, to generate different things. You can make light boxes, flexi toys, sculptures, statues, keychains. I mean, dude, this is great how far they've come. Now, what we'll be using, we scroll all the way down, you've got right here the image to 3D model. I love this, right? So you can see they got a picture of a car and they turn it into a model. Now, this program is not flawless, okay? There are definitely some, pros and cons about it. The cons is sometimes even if your image looks amazing, it still does not generate it properly. So we're gonna see what we get here. All right, so you have this box right here that says drag or open file of pictures. Now we know which picture we're gonna do, and it's this one right here. This is the duck that I saved. So we double click that, there it is, looks wonderful. Now it's gonna accept this and say, would you like to generate? And we're gonna hit generate. This part takes a little bit. Sometimes it's done within a minute. Sometimes you might be in a line of other people using this program. One time I think I had to wait like 30 minutes for one model because there were so many people in line. I've only had that happen once out of using this program about 50 times, okay guys? So you'll just see what happens when you are uploading it, and this will take a little bit. So we had about 2 minutes of the model being created on ChatGPT, somewhere between a minute or two, and then we'll probably take another minute or two here for the model. All right, guys, it just finished, like I said, about 2 minutes. I mean, look. Let's see, is there any flaws? This is pretty flawless. All right, I'm happy we've got it done about the right way on the first try. There are sometimes my models do not come out looking this good. Sometimes the tail is like pinched all the way over to the right. The body's curved weird. The head's flat. Either way, this turned out pretty good. There's one blemish here that I personally know how to fix that in Blender. I don't know much about Blender. I learned it for this process, but guys, this is a pretty fantastic duck. Now I'm gonna go ahead and export this, and I will show you guys how I fixed this issue, and I might show you a messed up model just at the end, so you guys can kind of see how it might show up messed up. But if you know how to do any 3D modeling, you could always take this file, whatever it generates at all, you could take this file and do some additional editing. I'm not very good at that, but you might be exceptional at it. All right, so we're gonna hit the export button. It's going to tell you that the export is in progress. Once again, the time it takes to create this might depend on your own computer, your connectivity. I have a decent connection here at home and a good computer, so everything I do, thankfully, is faster than it used to be. But we'll go ahead and, yeah, let you guys figure that out on your own. All right, it looks like the export is done. Now it's going to take a consumption of your credits. I believe when you make an account, you have a certain balance of credits, and you use those whenever you use these maker programs. You can always redeem points that you might have on your accounts to get more of these credits. Okay, so it's going to cost me 2 credits. I'm scared of the day that it actually might cost 10. That is too much. But 2 credits. I have 50 left. I'm going to hit confirm. Right here it says, your make is ready. Your creation can be used for commercial purposes. Right there, guys. You can sell these prints. That is fantastic. If you share them publicly, please credit image to 3D by including the following link. They would like you to use this link. That's all they ask of you. Please note that this file is in OBJ format with Vortex colors. To print it, you need to import it into Bambu Studio. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. We're going to go ahead and hit download. Once again, it's going to be a OBJ file, not STL or 3MF that you might be used to. Let's hit download, and there it goes. All right, for this next part, guys, we're going to pull up Bambu Studios. I already have it in here, but you can search for it on your computer. Any way to get into Bambu, go ahead and do that, and we're going to launch Bambu. Now, it didn't dawn on me, you guys might be using a different slicer program. I personally use Bambu. It's what I've grown on and grown up with, I could say, right? I started with Bambu printers, so I'm only really familiar with Bambu slicer, but this might be very much similar in your own slicer. So we're going to go to File right here, and you're going to go to Import, and it's going to say you can import all of these files, and there is OBJ that we need. So I'm going to hit that. And we're going to go to our downloads right here, which is where the file that we just got. And you could even tell that by the timestamp right there, right? It tells you your date and time. If you're confused, you have too many files. And we're going to click that one right there, OBJ. And right here, it's going to start loading this file into here. Now, when it loads this, it has tons of color mapping. Look at this, guys. It tries to get every type of shade that is potentially possible with the model that was created. I always go up here where it says specify the number of colors. I double click and I hit 1, right? I want it to reduce to 1. You may not want that. You can mess with these colors. You can actually, let's see. Most of y'all maybe have AMS with like 4 colors. So if I do 4, if I say, hey, make me 4 color model. All right, so I put 4 in there, I hit enter, and it did its best to reduce this model down to 4 colors. Okay, so now it's saying, hey, you've got a yellowish, an orange, a red, or a black, sorry, and a dark orange. Okay, so I'm not sure exactly where they map these colors, but I can hit okay, right? So let's just hit okay and see how it made this model look. All right, guys, so I got an unknown error that crashed Bambu, and this is the second time it's happened to me trying to import OBJ. So if this happens to you, try to close out in your task manager, try to close out any applications of Bambu Studio that are open, and maybe that will do the fix for you. All right, so now we have our model in here, guys. You can see where the colors are. They have like 2 oranges in the mouth. They have the black around the eyes, It reduced it down to 4 colors, which is really nice if that's what you need, okay? Part of the problem with having the color before you even mess with the model is I typically like to cut my models flat on the bottom. You can see there's some rounding happening right there at the base. That is going to need supports, right? To reduce the amount of supports and give it a better foundation, I cut my model. So I'm going to go to cut, and it's going to remove all that color. At least it does every time I cut the model. So pre-coloring it anyway can be kind of dangerous if you plan on cutting it. All right, so I'm going to perform that cut just to go over that one more time for any of those that are new. We're on the prepare screen. There is this cut function right here, or you can hit C. It's showing you the plane that will be cut. You can adjust, rotate the plane however you want. I'm going to keep it flat. That's typically what I do. I grab the yellow slider right here, the yellow box that lets you slide this cut wherever you want it. Since I'm only worried about the base, I just need it parallel like that. We're going to hit perform cut. There it is. I'm going to delete the extra piece just by hitting delete on my keyboard. Right click my model. I'm going to hit center. And here we are. We've got our lovely duck, man. That is so cool. Right now, I like to change the orientation so that the face is pointing forward. That way, when I add my seam on the back, it actually goes to the back. Because right down here where it says seam position, if you hit back, it's considering anything towards the back side of this plate is the back. So your seam will actually end up on this side of the duck. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to click my duck. I'm going to hit rotate. I'm going to aim it forward, and now we've got our duck right there aimed forward. Our seam will be actually on the back, but we will need supports for this model. As you can see, there's the beak hanging over big time. Usually the wings might need a little bit of support. This one looks like it might not need too much at all. So let's go ahead, go to supports right here. We're going to click our box to enable these supports. I like trees. Tree supports are my favorite. And I typically do on build plate only. I feel like that usually captures all of it. So if we hit slice plate, there we go, guys. We have our duck. We have, my kids always think this is a monstrosity when the supports come out like this. Like, gosh, that looks terrifying. It's adding a little bit of supports right there at the back. I feel like it might not even need that. If you hit support critical regions only, you might get a different outcome. So as you can see that, now we hit that, it actually reduced a lot of the supports. It got rid of the ones that were on the back. I don't know if I trust it though. I don't know if I trust that this doesn't need supports, right? The blue typically means, hey, there's a big overhang happening here, guys, and it might get a little dicey. It will be successful, but you might have some stringing, some slight stringing happening in here. That's a chance. If you're willing to take it, hey, go on with it. A little modifying post-production, you can get rid of that easy. For me, after seeing that, I might say, hey, you know what? I'm okay with the extra supports you had. Now, I typically print this a little smaller, right? This will come out as a pretty big print for a rubber duck. I might reduce it down to about here. You know, that looks good to me. That looks like a good size. And if we slice it with one color, guys, it's only going to take me 38 minutes to make a solid colored duck. You can go to the filament settings here to make one solid colored duck. Now, me, I like colors, okay? I like adding a little bit of colors. You can see our lovely seam actually went to the back of the duck, like I said. That turns out great, but I like some colors. So I actually paint my models in Bambu Slicer as well. I will grab the coloring paint tool right here. It's got so many colors. I think I want this yellow to be a little bit more yellow, right? That looks a little bit not yellow enough for me, all right? So I'll do that. I'll get rid of everything to make sure it starts off with the yellow color. Just by hitting the subtract button, we got rid of all those additional colors. But I'm going to add at least black and orange. So hit plus to add 2 more colors. Make this one a black. And click on the numbers here, and that's already a red. I want orange, okay? So we're gonna hit okay on the orange. And I spend some time here typically just painting my model as best as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys. The slicer's really good at, like, as long as you've got like a roundish shape, it's going to do its best once it prints to enable that shape maintains its integrity, okay? So, you know, if you get a little overlapping, depending on how critical you are of that stuff, you can fix it or you can just let it be. Like that little line right there, I'm not concerned, right? So this is what I do with all my models, guys, and I make some more intricate in-depth models that require a lot of painting. This painting will probably take a couple minutes just to do the small duck, but I have spent an hour to 2 hours sometimes painting a model in the slicer because it's not very smart when it comes to these 3D generated models. For instance, you might be used to using the full color. This bucket tool can be really great on a model that you've created your own in like Nomad Sculpt or in Blender, where the parts are actually separated. But in this image generator, all the parts are connected. So it is really difficult to use this paint bucket tool. It might do a decent job like that, right? It actually grabbed a lot of the detail. But most times that is not the case for me. Sometimes it is so hard to grab the detail and you end up having to use this circle tool. Now I will finish this off, but it did a great job actually right there of grabbing the beak. And I can be satisfied with that seam right there on the color difference. Okay, so it's up to you guys how in depth, how much coloring you want to do on your model is completely up to you, and where you're satisfied is where you're satisfied. If you're planning to sell these models, I would spend the extra time it takes to make sure you have a nice finished product, because if someone else is buying it from you, they expect that, right? You want to set a good standard of expectation for, hey, I put time into my model and I make sure that once it's finished, you're getting a solid product that you can be happy with, that you can sell at your shows and that you can make for your kids, and everyone's going to love it. So there we go, guys. We've got a great rubber duck. I am very happy with the way this model turned out. I will go ahead and print it and show you guys the final product. But yeah, that's how it goes. If you guys see some of these lines right here, I haven't had these lines show up in the details when I print it, but if you make the file big enough, I believe it will capture these lines. That happens with the Image to 3D model creator. Every model I make has these weird lines. I believe it's a work in progress that Bambu or that Maker Lab is doing, but it has these weird lines. You actually can get rid of these in Blender as well, or whatever 3D modeling program of your choice. You can get rid of those, but that's how it's done, guys. This is the 3D model creator. I'm very satisfied with this product. I will show you guys quickly in Blender how to fix that though. All right, guys, I just launched Blender. If you're not familiar with this program, I am not the guy that can teach you about it. I know less than the basics, okay? But I did download it to try to work on those models that I created. So I click into the program. I always delete this cube. Click on it, hit delete, go to File. Now this part I typically do before I paint the image, paint the duck. These lines, yeah, you want to do this first. So you want to go to Import, you want to go to OBJ, and you want to find your download that you've got of that OBJ file. So here was our duck. We downloaded it today. We're going to open it. We've got to zoom out. There's our big boy. All right, orientation, all up to you. Up here using these axes, I hit X to look at it forward. And then there is a rotate function right here off to the side. I click rotate, click the duck, and drag this out wider white wheel to get it as best as I can to be facing forward. Okay, so that looks pretty good to me. Here's the lines that I said that you could see on the duck. Up here, top left, this is object mode. I go to sculpt mode. Okay, so now we are looking at this duck with the sculpt mode. If you hold shift and you left click your mouse button, you will do some light kind of sanding. Okay, it's a smooth tool and you can actually smooth out all of these surfaces. If you use the radius tool up here, you can actually drag and make your radius bigger so that the smoothing happens at a wider range, and you can get a lot of that holding shift once again and moving your mouse, holding your mouse button down. Now be wary though that any of these lines, you can actually smooth out those details too. Now you might like that, but if you do too much, you might not even be able to notice there is a difference from where the body ends and the wing begins. So just careful with that. I'm just going to show you, since I'm not going to save this model, I'm just going to show you, I'm able to smooth out these nose holes. I'm able to smooth out the mouth. I mean, you could do some damage if you are not careful, right? Look at that. I am making this a very weird duck now. But so the smooth tool, it can be your friend to smooth out a lot of the little, discrepancies that you don't like, that is totally fine. But just be careful with the finer details, okay? So you might want to adjust that radius as you're doing things around sensitive areas. Once you've got your duck satisfied with however you like it, you just got to go to File. You got to go to Export, and now you want to export it as an STL. Once you've finished smoothing it out, making any adjustments, down here you have a crease tool that you can like add some lines. If you want to add maybe a little logo, a symbol, you can inflate areas. You can, or that is adding onto it. What is that tool called? Clay. You're adding clay onto your model. You can hit the subtract button up here, subtract clay from your model, or there's a grab function right here if you need to just kind of change the models overall however you want to. Okay, so that's just weird. Do not worry about this guy. He's going to be all right. You hit File, you hit Export, and you want to export that as a STL this time, okay? Once you export it as a STL, you can open that file just straight up into your slicer and begin working on it, coloring it there. All right, so this was just how to fix some of those blemishes, although I made my duck look worse for wear. All right, guys, so we got our duck model here. Let's go ahead and print it out, and I will show you guys what the final production looks like. All right. Alright guys, so there it is. Model is done. Got our little duck, came right off the build plate. And our guy's finished, man. Our guy is finished. Alright guys, so we got our little duck finished. Oh my god, it came out so good. So I'm going to pop off the supports. It's pretty fresh out there. We've got a little bit of fibers and whatnot, but man, I mean, that turned out really great. I hope we can focus in on this and you guys can see it a little bit better. So there it is, wonderful little duck. I mean, that came out solid, very solid. Sorry, my rotation's kind of bad on this, but you can see, I mean, it came out great. Easy duck. So there you have it, guys. That's how I make this little model. If you guys enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below with some more tips that you guys would be looking forward to. I hope to make some more videos for you guys, at least with the knowledge I have in 3D printing, man. Keep going out there, keep making great models. I'll see you guys on the next one, all right? Peace.